Good morning.
Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning.
All right, then. So we are going to
Good morning. Good to see you guys.
Yes. So we are going to attempt to rush through this. We've already pressed you for your time. But two things. 19 states filing a suit against the EFCC asking about the constitutionality of this. Have you personally looked into the matter, and what kinds of concerns does this raise in the security sphere? Because we see that, the likes of EFCC, ICPC, and, NFIU, they are put up by the federal government to actually fight a form of security concern. That is corruption and how it affects us as a people. What are your thoughts about this state move?
So when the states that have come out to say that they want EFCC scrapped and they want ICPC scrapped, what is the option? Did they say that they no longer want Nigeria to fight corruption? In 2003, I led advocacy after the laws were made. I led a lot of advocacy on the setting up of ICPC and EFCC, and in fact, NFIU. These were key infrastructure that Nigeria required to be able to fight corruption to a standstill. But like you said, this is not the first time states are going before the Supreme Court to say that EFCC should be struck down. It's just that they want to have freedom to do whatever they want to do with the money that gets to them. And if you say because EFCC is a federal institution, it should not be allowed to fight corruption, then you are getting money from the federal government. And so how are you going to account for it? How will you get money from federal government on one side and then say the same federal government cannot have its institution to ask you to account for what has been spent? I think it's just a lot of politics and a lot of misdirection. For instance, where is all this coming from? It's coming from Kogi State. Kogi State is leading this whole polar balloon for obvious reasons. You know that Governor Bello had been hiding, running helter-skelter from EFCC. So the idea is to see if you can whittle down, or if you can scare EFCC, or if you can, in fact, strike it down so that those who stole money will not be accountable. But having said that, I am also concerned that EFCC in the recent times have not done well. I knew the vision, the expectation. We had expected in 2020, in 2003, 2004, 2005, that after 10 years of operation of EFCC and ICPC, that we'll have a nation that is substantially been able to address issues of corruption. But you see today, corruption is taking another dimension. So I think there are several things that are happening. One is that EFCC is beginning to fail woefully. A lot of corruption is going on or have gone on, and there are untouchable people. And what the FCC is basically doing right now is to chase after boys and girls that they say are doing Yahoo, or they are doing computer fraud. But the grand corruption that is destroying our nation are basically left unscanted. So this is my immediate take on the issue of the FCC.
So, but I think one of the other questions that comes to mind is the duplication of the roles. Don't you think that the EFCC and the ICPC, as it were, that the roles, overlap, even the NFIU? So why don't we collapse all of these agencies into one strong body that, has sub, departments and units under it to fight corruption through all the legs? Do we need these three agencies standing on their own to fight the corruption of the nation? Maybe something in the suit of the state governments can achieve, getting just one agency as opposed to three. What are your thoughts?
No, I think it's because people do not understand these agencies and what they're supposed to do. Take, for instance, the NFIU is called the Nigeria Financial Intelligence Unit. Their work is to gather financial intelligence from all over the world concerning Nigeria economy. They warehouse it in their big computers in their office. And so when there are issues, it's a data mining center. So when there are issues on financial crimes, when there are issues that border on financial crimes or predicate offenses that lead to financial crimes, the central bank can go there and get information. SEC can go there and get information. The Nigerian police can go there and get information. ICPC can go there and get information. EFCC can go there and get information. The Department of State Service can go to NFIU. So it's a Nigeria Financial Intelligence Unit. So they gather financial intelligence, and they store it for when government requires. Now, ICPC have a role to play all aspects of corruption. You know, there's a difference between corruption and financial crimes. So EFCC focuses on financial crimes that threatens the stability of the country, while ICPC focuses on corruption in the public sector. EFCC focuses on financial crimes across the Nigerian economy. So they are doing different things. And I think that the crisis we have right now is, in fact, the fact that ICPC and EFCC are also caught in the corruption, gamble.
Web.
So it is not. Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Good.
Go ahead.
So the truth is that. The truth is that the real concern for somebody like you who have been part of this system from the beginning is that the institutions are not delivering on the mandate. They are not delivering on the expectation. You hear a lot about picking, they are doing cherry picking as to which cases to address. They are looking at people's faces. They are looking at people's pockets. This is the real concern. But all the institutions have very clearly demarcated roles they are supposed to play. Like I said, AFCC covers every issue of financial crimes across the Nigeria society, while ICPC focuses on public sector corruption. So they are doing different things. Just that, like I said, my disappointment is that they are failing woefully in the what do you call it now?
The target that they had.
For the mandate that they would set. Yeah, the mandate they had, they are failing very woefully. They are a disappointment, because I recall when Nuhu Ribadu was there. You had the guys, Okaro, that was in NFIU. You had this guy that is late now, Lamode, that was the director of operations in EFCC. And all that. EFCC was a global brand that people wanted to listen. But today, EFCC, you hear of corruption. The small personnel with EFCC are highly corrupt. I mean, you hear it every day. Oh, this person has been let go because he bribed EFCC. There are people in EFCC that are, and it's there in the public space. This governor came and said, EFCC asked for money, I didn't give them, that's why they are dragging me. This is not what we expected from them. So the issue of people trying to strike down EFCC through the law is wrong, but also we need to look inward and say, look, these institutions have failed woefully, and steps need to be taken to address them. I think, again, like I will say all the time, it is the Nigerian citizen that should be speaking up to say we are not satisfied with what is happening, we want change. Because these institutions are set up to guarantee our economic prosperity and the development of our nation. So if they are not working, I expect to hear citizens come out and speak up. And what clearly, I don't know, I'm not sure that the Supreme Court will accede to the governors, because they are just forum shopping. That's the word I use. They're just trying to distract everybody and scare EFCC and ICPC and cause confusion. I don't see the Supreme Court Supreme Court judgment going their way at all, because what they're asking for is untenable.
Well, we even see that, the Attorney General of the Federation has said that the Supreme Court lacks the jurisdiction to hear the case, because the plaintiff's grievance is what only the Federal High Court could adjudicate on. So we already see that there is already grounds to question the process that they are going on with, with their grievance, as it were. And, Fagbemi has also said that this is a case of no strong cause. So do you think that this is just going to be bottled out of the way? Remember also that the EFCC recently had reacted to the fact that about 10 states had barred them from carrying out any kinds of, investigation in their state. Do you think that the judiciary is also arming itself against the functionality of these anti-graft agencies? We seem to be having the law fighting, functionality in the country.
No, I think that this situation is clear. It is politicians that are not comfortable with ICPC and EFCC. They want to have a free reign. They want to be able to steal all the money, and there's nobody to ask them, what are you doing?
So how can that be addressed?
I am not a lawyer, but I do. You said?
How can that be addressed? How can we now address the politicians?
Yeah, the issue is that we need to ensure that we strengthen EFCC and we strengthen ICPC, we strengthen NFIU. These are the institutions of government that guarantee our nationhood. And if you strike them down, the question is, who fights corruption for you. And we cannot be a nation of criminals or that allow criminals to fester because they are highly pleased. But I want to say that the Supreme Court is not just a court of law, it's a court of policy. So it is not the thing that you see them talking about. What Supreme Court will be concerned with is that we have legislators, we have laws that will help to guide and govern our nation as a decent society. Supreme Court is not going to be looking at just the legal issues, but the policy issues. Where is Nigeria going? How is Nigeria going to get there? So, like I said, it's going to be an interesting. It's an interesting case which everybody is waiting to see how it goes. But for me, if you ask me, I know that there's no Supreme Court in the world that will strike down institutions as critical as ICPC and EFCC. So the question is this: when the Supreme Court strikes these institutions down, well, who will fight corruption? And people will say, oh, judiciary, this is what we expected. Judiciary are finally, because the judges are corrupt, blah, 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 they have struck down ICPC and EFCC. So my question is, you are taking, if the Supreme Court tomorrow give that as if toward the state as if they take out EFCC, they take out ICPC, who fights corruption in Nigeria? And then listen, you remember that EFCC was set up based on the pressure from the global financial system that said Nigeria was becoming a den of criminals, financial criminals. And they gave a deadline then that if Nigeria did not have an institution in place to fight financial crime, we will be blacklisted. RNS, what do you call that organization now? They said Nigeria will be blacklisted. And it was on that basis that EFCC and ICPC was set up. I mean, EFCC was set up. There's a history to this. So if you take out EFCC, how do you continue to be a member of a global community that is concerned about issues of financial crimes? Remember that EFCC is not only working for Nigeria, it's a global institution. EFCC belongs to Egmont. There's an institution that is called Egmont. It's a global body that different economic and financial crime-related institutions from various countries belong to. NFIU also is a member of that group that they belong to. So if you struck down EFCC, who will interface with the globe? Who will have the structures of EFCC and NFIU that will help to interface with the globe? Remember that our nation have people you call Yahoo boys and all sorts of financial criminals. These are the people that the world are depending on. I mean, EFCC is the people that the world is depending on to help them fight corruption within Nigeria. There's what we call mutual legal assistance. There's what we call collaboration with other countries. EFCC is the institution in Nigeria that have the statutory responsibility to collaborate with similar institutions from South Africa, from the United States, from Venezuela, from Brazil, from Russia, in order to be able to fight financial crime, not only in Nigeria, not only in West Africa, but globally. So now if you strike down EFCC, because some local politicians are uncomfortable with the work of EFCC, what happened to the global perspective of the work that EFCC is doing? EFCC is a global, it's a Nigeria branch of a global financial police. So if you take them out, who plays the role? The role is not for the police. The globe needed a specialized, focused agency that can fight financial crime. So it's not just about what Kogi State wants, what local government want, and all that. It's an international matter that Nigeria needs to be very careful the way they handle. And I think that the Supreme Court judges will be well acquainted with this fact and know that we are dealing with a global concern. Everybody around the world is watching to see what the Supreme Court is going to do. Are they going to strike the EFCC? Are they going to accede to this state government that want to steal unfettered, unaccosted? Are they going to see to that, or they are going to be concerned about Nigeria's survival as a nation, the survival of Nigeria economy as a nation? And by the way, no matter how bad EFCC is today, no matter how much corruption is really also afflicting EFCC, we can't do without them. We do need them for the financial economic prosperity of our nation.
Well, just to wrap this up, speaking about the global touch that the EFCC and the other anti-graft agencies have, yesterday the EFCC actually did launch a cyber crimes rapid response center, of course, to be able to have real-time response and reportage of economic and cyber crimes going on in the country. So we're still talking about the interconnectedness of the EFCC in the global play of fighting corruption and cyber crimes, as it were. So that's one thing you have to be aware of. You just get to their website, you would be able to hang on immediately and speak to agents who can rapidly respond to your complaints or whistleblowing with regards to cyber crimes. But we do hope that, you know, the judiciary and every agency concerned will do what is best for the anti-graft agencies. I think, Francis, we'll move on from that conversation.
Well, Doctor, let's get to this.
Yeah, go on.
All right, let's get to the Southeast. The insecurity situation in the state has been a recurrent conversation since it kick-started the sit at home, and it's caused a great level of damage to the economy of the respective states, the businesses of the individual, and generally Nigeria. Now, recently, the Monday and Tuesday sit at home order is a little bit conflicting. We saw the state government issuing a different directive and even threatening to sanction, you know, institutions. I'd like to take your reaction to this.
No, but I think it's the most in modern history. What the Southeast criminal gangs, the unknown government are doing is the most terrible way that a community or a jurisdiction can destroy their own self, destroy the economy, destroy the social and cultural life of the people. What you see happening in the Southeast is the breakdown of communal lives, is the breakdown of communities, the breakdown of law and order at community level. Now, it is not just about government saying people should go to work or stay at home. It's a problem that has defied law enforcement. It's not a police matter, not a law enforcement issue. It's a community issue, and it can truly be addressed only with sincerity. In the Southeast, people do not trust their political leaders, clearly. They don't trust their political leaders. They don't respect their political leaders. They no longer respect their community leaders. So there's a breakdown of the system. And the solution is not going to be to threaten people, but the solution will be to find out what has happened, why are the communities broken down in the Southeast? Because it's the most painful thing that will happen anywhere, where the people themselves will use their hands to destroy their economy because they have an issue with the center, because they have an issue with the federal government, and then they decide on their own to destroy their economy. Because when you say people should sit at home, people should not go to work, people should not go for their commercial activities twice every week, what is left? And then the worst, of course, is that because of the insecurity in that part of the country, foreigners and the visitors don't want to go there. They don't want to go there because of fear of their own security. So it has degraded the economy of the Southeast that used to. And then there's rising poverty, and more poverty will lead to more crimes. So it's actually a big problem that cannot be solved by threats, which I see the governors of the state are doing. They are threatening people. It cannot be solved by threat. People have to really sit down to address this. See, all over the Southeast, there are free weapons. People are being kidnapped daily. See, I was in Owerri some time ago, and I discovered that people whose relation die, they no longer go to the village to bury them the way people used to go. Your friends and families, everybody go to the village for the burial. But people now have to, they do all that they need to do in Owerri. That is safe in some areas. And then a few people carry the body to the village to go and bury because of the issue of kidnapping. People are no longer coming home because of the issue of kidnapping. People are no longer visiting their community because of the issue of... So it's a horrifying situation. There is no threat of governance that can solve it. We need to have a deeper conversation to address this national security issue.
Doctor, like you've rightly stated, we need to do more than just threat, and threat is not going to solve the problem. I recall some time ago we had governors from the Southeast come together and declare openly and publicly that they are not in support of the sit-at-home order and that they will do everything possible within their powers as the chief security of their respective states to put an end to it. They even reached out to the federal government also to seek for support to that effect. Would you not say this is a matter of a lack of ideas on how to resolve this that has made the governors resort to now threatening the common masses who do not have a way to fight and protect themselves?
Well, the governors are just speaking so that they can be seen to be doing something. That's the truth. The governors are speaking. The governors are saying the thing they are saying to give the impression they are working, because what do you expect? They don't have control over the police. Even when they have control over the police, the issues of lawlessness in the Southeast defies. I've said this over and over again on national television, that it's not bullet, it's not gun that is going to solve the Southeast problem. It's going to have to be a discussion. It's going to have to be you have criminals who might not be disposed to this discussion, but if the generality of the community agrees, because crime is festering in every community. There are communities in the Southeast that you can't have police there, you can't have any law enforcement there. It's a lawless community completely. It's immense. Those kind of communities are growing in the Southeast. Even when they say, hey, go out, government say, go out, these same armed criminals will come out and kill people in this particular place and get back into the bush. So it's a complex situation of lawlessness that cannot be addressed by gun and bullet. We need to have a national conversation. Now, it has to be a federal government-led solution, not
Now, you have actually shifted the conversation to you have shifted the conversation to a place I was hoping we go. Now, if we follow the narrative of this discourse where the Southeast state of security is concerned, we don't seem to have a lot of national conversations on how to address. Every now and then, at the federal level, we are hearing the federal government steps to mitigate the insecurity in the north and the northeast, as it were. But little is said about, the insecurity in the southeast. That is not to say that they have not sent men of the military, the Nigerian Armed Forces, or the Nigerian police. Yes, they have their men there. But in terms of pushing a discourse to bring resolution, Dr. Okoro, that is abysmally low where the Southeast is concerned. What do you think is giving grounds to this? It's a major concern.
There are historical and political perspective to that. There was a time the Southeast wanted to break off from Nigeria. Many people have really not forgotten. Many political leaders have not forgotten that incident when we had a civil war because the Southeast wanted their own country. And even now, there's still agitation by the Southeasterners that they want to break away from Nigeria. So what is happening, the entire gamut of what is happening in the Southeast, have political, social, and it has this kind of historical perspective to it. So many people are not concerned. Even in terms of development, the government at the center, particularly the last government, they were not really concerned about what happens in the Southeast. But the worst of it is that even the Southeasterners, the political leaders in the Southeast are not united. Everybody is concerned about their own self. They are concerned about their own pocket. They are concerned about their own position. So we would have expected that the force that can drive the intervention of entire Nigeria and the government of Nigeria, another component of Nigeria, is when you have a united house and among the leaders of the South, the political, economic, social, and traditional leaders who will come together and on their own initiate a process for change. Others can now join. Remember when we had the issue in South-South, when they were kidnapping and bombings and all that, it was the South leaders that came together and started the process of finding solution. And that solution ultimately came back. In the case of Southeast, we don't see that same move from the. In fact, when efforts are being made to address the issues in the Southeast, it's the political leaders from the Southeast that will scuttle it. Because all of them have different agendas, all of them have different focus, all of them have different reasons why they do what they do. But like I said, the people you should hold responsible for what is happening in the Southeast is not the federal government, it's the Southeasterners. Currently, as we speak, the Minister of Works and Transport and the Highways and all that is from the Southeast. It's a Southeasterner. So you go back to the Southeast and ask yourself, roads are being built in other places. Other things, how come the Southeast is being neglected? Why has the minister from the Southeast not prioritized his place? You cannot blame others to say we are neglected. But what about your own people that are in power, are in position? What are they doing differently? So, like I said, they say charity begins at home. Let us see the Southeastern leaders lead this change. Let us see the Southeastern leaders do their own bits, because all we hear is the Southeasterners are being marginalized. I say, okay, but what about your people? What are your people doing different? What is Umahi doing for the Southeast? He is a representative of the Southeast in the cabinet. So what is he doing differently? So these are the issues. But I worry because we have the north degrading terribly because of um, Boko Haram, and now you are talking of banditry, you are talking of kidnapping, you are talking of all sorts. If the southeast also follows the same path and the southeast degrades, what do you think is going to happen? We're going to have issues in the country. Southeast used to be a buffer, used to be a behave, used to be an entity, used to be a jurisdiction of prosperity and hard work. But now the entire Southeast is going out of, the entire Southeast is going down. So there are issues that we should be concerned with. It's a conversation we should continue, like we are talking about this morning. It's a conversation that must be sustained among Nigerians, among the media, among people of goodwill. And by the way, I am concerned that somebody like Ekpa, you know that guy they call Ekpa?
Simon Ekpa, yes.
Foreign country, is it Belgium or where he? Yeah. That guy is committing treason, but again, the federal government are not doing anything about it. When Kalu was misbehaving like that, the federal government, for whatever reason, they went and they possibly brought him back. They brought him back, but Ekpa is doing more damage. And what bothers me is that if Ekpa is an Igbo man truly, he will not do what he's doing. You cannot say because you have issues with the federal government that you are going to destroy your own side of the country. It's crazy. And many of the unguarded people from the Southeast, youths and others, believe him. So when he gives an order, they feel that it's like a fatwa, which they must carry out. So this is why I think that the solution is not to deploy military to the Southeast. The solution is not to deploy police. I think that it's a security solution. It's not. It's a political, social, cultural issue that the solution has to start from the Southeastern leaders. Yes. Otherwise, the Southeast is going on that very rapidly. When I went to Owerri, I went a while ago. I was in Imo State. The police that we are working with, we are concerned about my safety. They told me to stay in this place, don't go beyond this particular environment. Even the police were very concerned about my safety while we're there in Owerri itself, not to talk about stepping out, because there are places you can go. There are even police, people don't wear uniform anymore because of fear of attack. So it's a dire state we have in the Southeast.
It's a dire situation. I know that in 2022 or 2023 thereabout, the House of Representatives had actually moved a motion to repatriate Simon Ekpa from Finland, but it looks like it wasn't followed through. So you'll be wondering what has incapacitated the federal government from being able to take out the kind of action that they took on Nnamdi Kanu. But let me shift the conversation there. Now we know the likes of Ohanaeze and Ndigbo are having conversations as to free Nnamdi Kanu, and we will be able to have like you said, a communal, political, social conversation as to end the crisis brewing in the Southeast. Why do you think that the federal government is not considering these terms? A lot of Igbo social cultural groups are asking for the release of Nnamdi Kanu.
So if Nnamdi Kanu is released, what will happen? Will it solve the problem in the Southeast? It will not.
You don't think it will begin the process?
Tomorrow,
you don't think it will begin the process?
No. No, you see, people, the leaders in the Southeast are afraid of Nnamdi Kanu that is free, because he automatically will become the people's leader for the Southeast, completely rendering the current leadership structure and leadership in position, rendering them powerless, because he is the leader. The people see him as their leader. And so if there's an election, if Kanu says this goat is the person that we should vote for, the people will vote for him. So the political leaders, they grandstand in the public to make it look like they are truly concerned about the release of Kanu. But behind, they are afraid. If you release Kanu, then they lose their own political relevance, because a new sheriff comes in and he's the one that the people listen to. And therefore, they will not, he's the one that people listen to, and therefore, their own position, which they thought was assured, will be swept away. So it is not in the interest of the political leadership in the Southeast for Kanu to be released. So even though, like I said, during the day, they shout in the marketplace that Kanu should be released, but in the night, they go to say, if you release him, what happens to us? So that is the dilemma. If you release Kanu, maybe you'll be able to douse part of the problem, but it doesn't. it doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't take away the arms that are. It's not everybody that is under that really will believe in Kanu, because there are arms all over the place, right? There are arms all over the place. When Kanu was arrested by the military, those who were under his leadership were scattered. So, but it therefore means that most of the groups that you have now, many of them will not they have their own structure. They are on their own. They will not be willing to submit to Kanu. So it's a long night. But I think that what we need to do is to start today to address these issues. And the release of Kanu, of course, will be salutary. It will be salutary, clearly. It will remove some of the tension, but it will create problems for a lot of people in the South.
It will create more problems.
The political leaders.
Well, there's a lot of expectation, and I think
for the political leaders, yes.
You have said a really strong one, that the resolution of the problem in the Southeast will be based on the social, cultural, and political will of the communal leaders. Thank you so much, Dr. David Okoro, for taking out your time to talk about these issues this morning.
Maybe I was going to add to this, to that. For the federal government, I told some people that under Buhari that Kanu will not be released because what Kanu represents is stronger than the agitation. What Kanu represents is the ultimate breaking up of Nigeria, because until you are able to get Kanu to agree to sign an undertaking that when he gets out, he will not push for a Biafra Republic, it will not even be in the interest of Nigerian government to release Kanu, because until he is willing to sign, to say, once I'm out of this place, I will not push for a Biafra Republic. Otherwise, you release Kanu tomorrow, you're going to have much more problems. So it's dicey. It's dicey, and all these issues need to be tied up very carefully through creative thinking. You know, it is only then that we can be able to solve this problem of the political leadership in the East, of the fear of the federal government, and the desire of the people to have Kanu released. So once more, I say thank you for having me. It's been wonderful speaking with you guys.
Thank you so much, Dr. Okoro. We appreciate your time.